The global wheat market has been hit by Chinese buyers cancelling major shipments, seemingly attempting to secure better prices and bolster the country's food security. In a statement, the U.S. Department of Agriculture said China cancelled purchases of 264,000 metric tons of U.S. soft red winter wheat. It was the third straight session with such an announcement, bringing the cancellation total to 504,000 tons. The figure is equivalent to about half the total US wheat shipments to China in 2022 and the largest cancellation on record going back to 1999. US exporters were left with the option to either hold on to 500,000 tons or find alternative buyers. Australian wheat deliveries to China were also affected in March, as Chinese importers either cancelled or postponed about 1 million tons of Australian wheat shipments to the second quarter. Those cancellations show that China can get wheat cheaper from others, said Ben Buckner, chief grains analyst for Chicago-based AG Resource Company. Moreover, Russia continues to be capable of exporting millions of tons of wheat and will likely to reach a market share of approximately 29% in the global wheat market for the fiscal year 24-25. Increasing grain supply from Russia is part of China's import diversification strategy to mitigate domestic climate shocks and strained relations with major grain suppliers like the United States and other Western countries, which are among the top agricultural suppliers to China. Before I proceed, I encourage you to consider liking the video and don't forget to share your views on the topic in the comment section below. Your feedback is invaluable for us and a wider audience around the world. China is the world's largest grain importer. China has yet to provide a reason for the cancellations. Although China is facing an economic downturn, the price of food generally suffers less from economic fluctuations than the price of crude oil, copper, and other industrial materials. In addition, there are no unexpected adverse weather events. China could achieve a larger and higher quality wheat harvest this year, according to reports from market watchdog S&P Global Commodity Insights. The commodity experts have based their assumption on data from the Chinese Meteorological Agency from early March, which said snowfall between January and February in the country's key winter wheat growing regions increased soil moisture and that most plants have safely passed through the winter dormancy. Additionally, only minimal frost damage is expected in parts of those regions, S&P Global Commodity Insights reported, adding that the crop's growth stage is largely similar to or better than the same period last year. However, one must be cautious when looking at the wheat balance for the coming year, as we will see a reduction in inventories in the exporting countries in 2024-25 because of smaller crop expectations and a slightly increasing demand due to lower prices. Buyers likely are trying to avoid going through with expensive contracts signed in the past and are repurchasing at lower prices, said Ruan Wei at Japan's Norinchukin Research Institute, echoing a common view among market watchers. Demand for food-grade wheat imports grew in China after last summer's flooding in Henan province, which affected harvest quality in the leading wheat-growing province. Chinese buyers responded by securing large-scale contracts for high-quality wheat from Australia, Canada, and the United States. However, Russia, the world's largest wheat exporter, later ramped up cheap shipments after its second straight bumper crop. By the time deliveries from additional wheat contracts began reaching China, their prices appeared to have been significantly above market rates, which likely triggered the cancellations. Chinese buyers are known to be particularly sensitive to price shifts. In spring 2023, they abruptly cancelled 1.1 million tons in purchases of US corn. Instead, they increased corn imports from Brazil as a bumper stock drove down prices. Chinese moves to curb grain imports are likely to persist over the medium to long term. The Chinese government has focused more on food security since last year amid surging prices at home and tensions with the US. A food security law was adopted in December 2023 and went into effect on June 1, 2024 to help bolster domestic production of grains and diversify imports. China aims to eventually be fully self-sufficient in wheat and rice, resulting in greater pressure to curb imports of these grains compared with corn and other grains mainly used for animal feed. The cancellation of over 500,000 tons of US wheat has sparked much discussion among grain traders. The days of continuously rising prices of grains and other agricultural commodities seem to be over, at least for now. According to the latest data from the US Department of Agriculture as of March 2024, corn inventories had risen by 13% and soybean inventories by 9%. Wheat inventories saw a highest increase at 16%. In addition to higher inventories, improving weather conditions have also contributed to lower prices. In most regions, the US had more than sufficient water supply and thus good conditions for good harvests. The US also has an ample supply of soybeans from Argentina and Brazil. As the world's leading agricultural importer, China has been actively diversifying its food strategy. As part of this diversification, it has been working with Russia on the new land grain corridor to establish the world's first specialized railway grain terminal in the Russian Far East. In the coming years, the development of the new land grain corridor between China and Russia could significantly impact global food dynamics, affecting not only China and Russia but also the wider world. Geopolitical and geo-economic concerns should also be considered. Amid the Russo-Ukrainian war, the new land grain corridor is another demonstration of Sino-Russian strategic alignments and their no-limits friendship. To address these concerns, Australia and the United States should seek to ensure food security is prominently featured in discourse with partners like the Association of Southeast Asian Nations and the Quad. Food security and related concerns could also play a stronger role in bilateral and multilateral forums, as well as in strategic partnerships with other key trading partners in the region, such as India, South Korea, and Japan. There are broader implications for the Australian and American private sectors. The new land grain corridor between China and Russia could change the future of grain trade and reshape global and regional trade flows. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for new videos on important international topics.